Hello, tonight we're going to be making one of my favorite types of meals, which is a stir fry. I'm wearing an outfit from Kazakhstan, which is actually close to China, close enough that I think you'll enjoy tonight's meal. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a steak. This is an Angus beef strip steak, a small portion. I like to use a really good steak when I do stir fry, so it's better to have a smaller amount of meat, but better quality meat. Same with any type of other poultry. We're going to be mixing in some vegetables that include broccoli, peppers. We're going to add some spices that include ginger, garlic. We're going to be using sesame oil and soy sauce. And tonight we're going to be using a black rice. Normally when you go to any type of Chinese establishment, you normally see white rice. But I chose this black rice, which I think is going to be incredible. Let me read you the description of the black rice. It says here, according to legend, this ancient grain was so cherished for its taste and nutrition that it was reserved only for the emperors of China to ensure their long life and good health. So I'm all about that. Let's get into the process in just a minute and move forward. Okay, here we have our chopped ingredients. The main thing about Chinese cooking is that it's all in the preparation. Cooking actually goes quite quickly, so the more you prepare things to be cooked, the faster the operation is and the smoother. We've got our broccoli, we've got our red peppers, which is as much for flavor as it is for looks. Look at the beautiful color combinations we have there. Sliced mushrooms. We have some almonds that we put in at the very last minute. We have ginger and garlic sliced and diced, ready to be added to the cooking process. And we have our meat. You'll also notice that the meat is actually sitting on a separate cutting plate. I like to keep the meat separate from the vegetables. That way, if there's any sanitary issues, those are kept separate. And we will start by adding some avocado oil to a very hot Chinese cooking pan. Ideally, you'd be doing this over a gas stove. We have an electric stove tonight, so it proves that actually you can do it either way. All right, I've taken off my Kazakhstan robe because I didn't want to get any oil or soy sauce on it, but we'll continue with the meal. I'm going to be using avocado oil tonight to cook. It's a little bit lighter than olive oil, and I think you'll find the flavor is just a little bit lighter for the Chinese food. So we already have a very hot wok pan here. The main thing is to get your pan hot before you put in the oil. Then you put in the oil. Now people often ask, how do you know when my oil is ready to cook? One thing you can do is you can take a Chinese chopstick. You can take an inexpensive one like you would get for a takeout delivery. And you can actually put it into the pan and see if little bubbles come around when it touches the pan. If the bubbles are starting to pop up, then you know it's ready to cook. I'm going to start by putting in the garlic and the ginger. Get the flavors going before I add the meat. Always best to get your garlic and other flavorings like ginger started before you add the meat. When you're actually cooking in the pan, you're actually cooking on the side of the pan, so that's why it's called stir fry. As you're cooking, you're actually stirring. You're stirring the food up around the side of the pan. And a lot of the cooking happens on the side of the pan, not in the bottom of the pan like a traditional sauté dish. Now, the way I like to do the Chinese meals is when you cook with any type of protein like steak, after I finish cooking that, I take that off and put it in a separate bowl. It should be almost done, but not quite, because we're going to add it back to the vegetables that we'll be cooking next. Now we're going to be adding vegetables. We've already taken the meat out of the wok. We're going to be adding vegetables, but vegetables don't get all added at the same time. You're going to add them based on how long they take to cook. So obviously in a meal like this, the broccoli has to go in first. Broccoli will take a little bit longer. Oh, and as you can see, we have some hot oil, which is okay. The broccoli will bring that down pretty quickly. I'll add a little bit more avocado oil. And we can also start adding some of these spicy oils, which in this case are going to include some soy, So we're adding some soy. As you can see, things cook very hot and very fast when you're doing Chinese. I'm going to add a little bit of sesame oil as well. That adds a great flavor, especially to meat. Now you could add that to the meat when you're cooking the meat. The next vegetable that I'm going to add to this dish is going to be the peppers, because peppers in this case will be the second longest cooking time. So put the peppers in. Cooking time, start to finish, between the meat and the vegetables is probably no more than about 10 minutes. Final vegetable to be added to this meal is going to be the mushrooms. They take the smallest amount of time to cook. They go in, and actually they'll cook pretty quickly. So as they're going in, I'm getting my meat ready to go back in. The last ingredient I'm going to be adding is going to be some roasted almonds. And in this case, they actually already have some salt on them. I'm going to sprinkle some almonds in. They give the meal a delicious extra little crunch. And that's probably enough on the almonds. And here we have our beef, broccoli, and pepper stir-fry on a beautiful bed of black rice. See how beautiful that looks? And of course, as we start to eat, we'll notice that it tastes just as good as it looks.